Jake, you want to start with the offense, right? Because the defense for the second week in a row was spectacular. They were stellar. I mean, barring a couple of plays, which we can get into, they were stellar, but they did exactly what they should do, right? They are a side that is vastly more talented than both McNeese and Central Michigan, and they looked like a side that was vastly more talented. So, like, they passed, and so we can talk about the good things there, but they did their job. The offense did not against McNeese, and it gave us some very clear goals about what we wanted to see out of the offense on Saturday, and LSU had a very clear vision of what they wanted to accomplish on Saturday, and it worked, and you saw it, right? They came out firing. Deep ball off the bat. Did not complete it, but they took that shot, right? Quick tempo. Gone was the check with the sideline, right? You were able to call a play and then actually just go and run it. A couple of bubble screens to get the ball to Keishawn Butte's hands off the bat, which, as you're going to see, essentially that is going to be a running play this year. I mean, right? It's as good as any. Just fall forward, get 3 or 4 yards. Yeah. Like if you're at 2nd and 10, you need to set up like a 3rd and 6. It's something that I expect them to do quite a bit this year. So you just saw a lot of from a structural offensive coordinator design and philosophy standpoint, Jake, you immediately saw the changes that you wanted to, and lo and behold, it results in an awesome deep ball touchdown to start the game to Deion Smith, of all people. Yeah. Who, if we're being like safe trust circle, fully honest here, I was like, who's Deion Smith? I completely forgot about him.
Definitely wasn't that, but every time we went out there, actually, it was like a different freshman receiver that would stand out. And we talked about, I came back here on Mondays after the scrimmages, and I talked about all the other freshman receivers. Every time I would go back, though, and I'd be talking with a coach or something, and be like, hey, what about this guy? And they'd be like, yeah, but Deion Smith. I'm like, okay, I've been on the practice. Hadn't really seen it. And it was like every time I did it. But I'll be honest, like, I had not seen him do that at the scrimmages or at the practices that I went to. Now, we're not there every single day, but, you know, you would kind of get that narrative. And I was starting to really doubt that, though. I was like, okay, y'all keep telling me about this, but I see the other guy. So, you know, something in-house, I think they knew that, but they wanted to get him on the outside. So you move Keishawn Butte to the inside, to the slot. That allows Deion Smith to go to the outside. And they felt like that was like their best unit. Yeah. Get Keishawn mismatched, you know, on your third best cover guy. It allows you, maybe, you know, Deion showed you that he's much better outside and not in the slot. And so they were right. Turns out they know what they're talking about. But certainly the deep ball to him for the first touchdown was fantastic, and we'll go over it. But even
I'm sorry, continue.
Go ahead, host.
Well, you set it up perfectly is the problem, the question I wanted to ask you. Because everybody in the chat right now is talking about how in the SEC that would have been 4 picks from Max, and those were horrible deep balls. I wanted to get your take on it while you were talking about the first deep ball.
No, you go give your guy an opportunity. Does he need to throw it a little bit with some more, you know, air on it? Yeah, obviously. But it wasn't so underthrown that your guys can't make a play on it. And now you're seeing, and you'll see him continue to grow confidence in that, because your receivers are going to be better than their DBs almost 95% of the time. Yeah. And you have true 5-star guys out there. Allow your guys to go make a play. How many times, and we keep going back to it, did the 2019 offense just do that? When you had one-on-one coverage, Joe said, I trust my guy, I'm throwing it up, and Jamar took it off the top of their helmet.
Yeah, and Joe wasn't always the best deep ball thrower. Now, he got pretty good in 2019, but in 2018, he was sketchy. But at least he was willing to give his guys a chance. Yeah. And I can't agree with the hypothetical opinions like that, you know, an SEC game, those would have been like 4 picks. Like, no, you don't know. Like, in fact, if we're just going from a mathematical likelihood standpoint, you could maybe argue that it would be most likely that, like, a couple of them would have been incomplete, right? And you still would have hit a couple of them. So the point is,
I thought
to
some
me,
of them, like the Jack Bech deep ball.
The Jack Bech was perfect. The second Deion Smith, where you hit him pretty much in stride, was pretty perfect. I mean, the first one where Deion Smith had to moss him, that's the one people are. But even then, like, that's not some sort of guaranteed interception. You know what is guaranteed? An incompletion if you throw it out of bounds where nobody can touch it, right? Like, that is a guarantee.
Yes.
So if it is a choice between the ball that Deion Smith had to moss versus the ball against UCLA that sailed out of bounds 15 yards and then it gave Keishawn Butte a chance, I will take the mossing 10 times out of 10. Like Jake said, We're told the entire offseason this wide receiver group is supposed to be your strength, right? I mean, hell, Deion Smith was the least heralded member of the class, and look what he just did. That felt true on Saturday. We had Devontae Lee making plays. You have so many guys starting to show what they can do and that you can spread the ball around. Well, okay, if that's your best position group, trust them then to be your best position group. So I think people are running entirely too far with the narrative that, like, if this was the SEC, it would have been a horrible game for Max. That's absurd. This was a great game for Max. This was a punchback game for Max to a lot of the criticisms that he has dealt with recently. And maybe nobody got a bigger boon from the offensive shift in philosophy, Jake, than Max, right? I mean, you could tell how much the more decisive nature of the play calling helped him be decisive, because that's the word I kept coming back to watching that game, right? He felt decisive. It felt dynamic. He felt dangerous. He felt so much more comfortable just watching the game than he had at any times previously. And he made better reads because of it. Finally, on some of those RPOs, two of the long Bech receptions, he made the correct read that he had been missing the last couple of weeks, I think in part because the play calls are getting in so late and he didn't truly have time to decipher the defense. So, yeah, no, Max was fantastic, dude. And if you cannot accept that Max was fantastic on Saturday, again, he's not immune to mistakes down the road. But if you can't accept that he was fantastic on Saturday, then your mind has been too warped by the Joe Burrow experience. And I feel you, because, like, I'm there too, right? We've been highly critical of Max this far. But it's kind of crazy when you look up, and for whatever this is worth, he's leading the nation in touchdown passes.
Yeah.
That's a point that we've reached, is that we're sitting here like, I don't know about this quarterback play, as he's leading the nation in touchdown passes. So it's not to say that he's the best quarterback in the nation, but that's not nothing. That's not nothing.
Yeah, and this is more of his style. We've said it, and I mean, we've talked about this with Jack Marucci, who talks about all the different tests, and this is when Max is at his best, when he's going fast, and this is when he does his best thinking and all the things they do over across the street. So you saw him do all the things that you want to see him do as far as tempo and make the right reads, and even when he got outside the pocket because the protection broke down, I thought he did a nice job. One of the biggest plays in the game came in the first series. It was a 3rd and 5 where he hits Jack Bech, and when he's rolling out to his left, Jack Bech is running like a little pivot route, and Jack does a really nice job of slowing that pivot route down as he's trying to go to Max, who's rolling to his left, because there was a defender right there. Max puts it right on him. He turns around, gets a first down, and then a couple plays later, boom, it's a touchdown. So it's like little small things like that, like for everybody to kind of understand what's going on within the offense. And you're starting to see what roles everyone's going to have on this team. Like Deion Smith showed you, he's going to be a true deep ball threat. Kayshawn has showed you he's going to be the guy that they put in the slot, try to create that mismatch. You're going to throw him some nows, you're going to throw him some bubbles, and obviously he's still going to have his intermediate 18-yard dig routes. Jack Bech has showed you that he is going to have a role on 3rd down and over the middle of the football field, and a little lanyap, he can go out there on the outside. And if you put a linebacker on him because he's labeled as a tight end, then you're going to take that matchup every single time, even a safety as well, because Jack has that type of receiving threat. Corey Kiner, somebody we'll talk about later on in this show, is starting to fight for some playing time because of what he can do when it's not blocked perfectly.
There ain't no starting. We'll talk about that next. Who should be the starting running back?
Well, what a
starting stud. I think we know. No, he's. I mean, that should be decided. We'll get into it, but if he ain't RB1 next week, we got some problems, man. So it's still a ton more to get to with this LSU Central Michigan game. Keep it locked right here. We're back to more off the bench.